Want to watch football without the restrictions of blackouts or cable? Check out expressvpn.com to help you get access to all the live games. Sign up today using the link in the description to get 3 free months. Yo, what up, Bolt fam? It's the Director. Chargers fans, you guys ready for another Bolts mock draft? This time, Bolts mock 2.0, a full 7-round 2022 Chargers NFL mock draft. This time with trades. This should be pretty interesting, guys, because again, the Chargers and its fan base really have been wondering what we should do at pick number 17. There's a lot of evidence to suggest stay there, stay put at pick number 17. You never know who is going to fall to you, but at the same time, in an aggressive season where the Chargers have been in hot pursuit of elite talent, maybe there is a shot they do trade up as well. On the flip side, there are Chargers fans that are thinking, hey man, there are needs on this team, and maybe the best way to address those needs is to trade down and try and grab value at a position of need, for instance, offensive line. So trades are on the table in this mock draft. Let me ask you guys a question in the comments. When it comes down to it, best player available or draft for need? Let me know. And also let me know if you would be willing to trade in terms of going out there and getting a premier player at a position of need as well. The Chargers do boast 10 draft picks that should be and could be used as ammunition. It doesn't just have to be the first round. We could also talk about trading up or trading down in the middle rounds as well. Could we fix this offensive line with the draft alone? We'll have to see about that in this mock draft. And where is the value in the mid to late round picks? I think I've got some pretty solid guys that we selected in the mid to late round picks that would make me pretty excited as a Chargers fan. Well, guys, before we do get started, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this Chargers content. The small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into this one. Lights, camera, action. Your 2022 Chargers 7-round mock draft 2.0, this time including trades. Quick refresher on what the Chargers are looking for. Things really have not changed on these grounds. Right tackle, right guard, of course, lots of Chargers fans all the time wondering what the heck are we going to do on the right side of that line. I'm sure that's going to come into play at some point in the NFL draft. Linebacker, running back 2, edge 3, cornerback 4, and depth are also positions to be looking for. We want to also continue improving that run defense. Again, it's one that it's a topic that maybe I don't see a lot of people talking about. Maybe there are people, or I don't know, but that run defense got a lot better this offseason. I still do think there is room for even further improvement. I want to go from worst to first when it comes to defending against the run, man. Like last season, if you go back and watch even some of the highlights from the games, it was very evident that that was our Achilles heel, and I think a lot of teams took advantage of that. So if we can turn that into a strength by further bolstering that in the draft this season, I am all about it. I would also like to add a dynamic wide receiver, running back 2, and depth at various positions. Depth, very underrated concept in today's NFL, especially in the post-COVID era. We don't know what the rules and the regulations are going to look like for that this upcoming season. Maybe they're a little bit lighter. It feels like we're starting to turn a corner, but you never know. And on top of that, there's always the normal concerns with depth as well. So I'm looking to address depth at various positions in this draft. So with that, guys, let's get into this mock draft 2.0 with trades and see what we can do with the 10 picks available to the Chargers. In round number 1, the Chargers at pick number 17 are going to select, shocker, we got ourselves a trade right off the bat in this mock draft, including trades. The Chargers in this instance, I went through a couple of different scenarios, okay? The Chargers, my favorite, if you guys remember my video from a couple of days ago, some of the better trade day scenarios for the Chargers, one of my favorite was definitely with the Green Bay Packers, trying to trade down to their pick, I think number 28, to grab our second round pick back. When push came to shove, I feel like if the Packers do trade up, it might be a little bit higher than where the Chargers pick is, so they can really get their guy, whether it be, you know, Burks or whether it be Williams, who knows. But at the same time, if somebody's down there at 17, if there's still wide receivers available, I would still put that in play. That being said, round one, a team that's most likely to trade up, in my opinion, is still going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think in terms of they need to get a quarterback of the future, whether it be Riddle, whether it be Pickett. I think that this is a good spot for them to go up and grab a guy. Who knows who's going to be available after that? You got the Saints, you got the Eagles, right in between, on each side of the Chargers. Do the Steelers want to risk their guy going to a different team by staying put at 20? If their thought is quarterback, I think they got to go up and get one, and I think the Chargers might be a good spot to go do that. So in this example here, we are going to trade away pick number 17 and 123, which is our 4th round pick, for the Steelers, number 20, their 1st round pick, and number 84, their 3rd round pick. So essentially what the Chargers are doing with the Steelers here is turning our 4th round pick into a 3rd round pick to let the Steelers jump 3 spots and grab their quarterback of the future. And keep in mind, when it comes to trading up in the draft for a quarterback, sometimes teams are willing to pay a little bit more. So in this instance, I think there's a difference of like 9 points or something like that. Either way, I do see this as a very realistic possibility. The Chargers trading down to 20. And in round number 1 with pick number 20, they're going to select Zion Johnson. Long explanation. You guys saw the name in there a long time ago, right? Zion Johnson. I know it's starting to get a lot of hype in the Chargers community. Interior offensive lineman out of Boston. Now let's talk about the player a little bit. Could he perhaps be the best offensive lineman in this class in the interior? We're talking guards, we're talking centers. I think there's a good case to be made in terms of Zion Johnson, man. He would add incredible guard play to this lineup immediately. This is one of those guys where, I don't know, we see a couple of them every single season. You look at their tape, you look at their grades, you look at their stats, and you're like, geez, man, I don't know what more this guy could improve on. He looks solid all around and ready to hit the ground running at the NFL level. And what this would internally do for the Chargers is allow them a little bit more flexibility. Because again, Zion Johnson, which I do not have listed here, very versatile as well. I told you guys a long time ago I loved Kenyon Green. Zion Johnson starting to climb boards as well. I love them for pretty much a lot of the same reasons. I do think Zion Johnson is definitely a better prospect. At the same time, the Chargers internally are going to have to decide what they're doing on that offensive line. And I do think moving Filer to right tackle has been in the cards for them since last season. But from what I remember reading various articles, they didn't want to put Rashawn Slater in a difficult position by, having a rookie left tackle, go out there for the full season without any veteran help right next to him. Now that we know what we have in Rashawn Slater, all-pro left tackle, I think it's safe to say that we could put a rookie next to him now, and I do think Zion Johnson would fill in there beautifully. I think there's a great shot. He plays right guard at a high level as well, so wherever the Chargers want to play this guy, I think he's going to fit right in. And of course, this is along the lines of moving Matt Filer to right tackle, which again, guys, I'm all about it. If I can help it, I would keep him at left guard, but at the same time, if this needs to be the move, there are way worse things the Chargers can do than moving Matt Filer to right tackle. He is a quality right tackle. He's proven it in Pittsburgh. Extremely well-rounded prospect, very good run blocker, amazing in pass protection. All around great value here, man. This trade down allows the Chargers to still get an offensive lineman, whether it be tackle, whether it be guard. I think they got a great value with this trade, and this is one that I would do 10 out of 10 times, especially if it resulted in Zion Johnson. Keep in mind, as we move forward, the Chargers will have 2 third-round picks, which helps kind of supplement what they traded away from Khalil Mack for a second-rounder. The Chargers will have some more quality choices in the day 2 picks as we come up here to round number 2. Round number 2, of course, nobody. The Chargers traded that pick away for Khalil Mack. I started to work around some trades, maybe to get that second-round pick back, but in the end, once again, decided that the trade with Pittsburgh probably was the most likely. So let's move into round 3. In round 3, with pick number 79, the Los Angeles Chargers are going to select Abraham Lucas. This one kind of shocked me a little bit too, guys. When I was looking at who was available to me in this mock draft, by the way, this was done on the draftnetwork.com if you guys want to do your own drafts, and tag me on Twitter and post them on Twitter, and we'll see if we can have a fun back and forth. When I saw who was available at pick number 79, I was really thinking about going edge, running back, cornerback, but Abraham Lucas was still available, and this is a guy that I do think is very realistically possible to be available at pick number 79. I thought to myself, why not double dip at offensive lineman, man. I think this could be an awesome thing for the Chargers. Maybe he starts this year. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe it's Matt Filer. Maybe they move him to guard. Maybe they do a lot of things with Abraham Lucas, tackle out of Washington State, by the way. And I do think that, again, this offers the Chargers a lot of flexibility to get the best version possible of that offensive line to roll out in 2022. And what this does is it really does pair up very well with what you've done on the defense. By investing your first 2 picks on offense in the NFL draft, you're putting a lot of stock that Justin Herbert can go out there and do it again in 2022. And with a stacked offensive line, or at least a much improved offensive line, I think you can start hedging your bets that he could do it again. Abraham Lucas, an exceptional pass blocker. He's got a solid NFL frame at 6'6", 325 pounds. In my opinion, again, you could put Filer out there and give Abraham Lucas maybe a different role or even a backup role if you really felt strongly about it. But in my opinion, I think he should be an immediate starter. Because when we're talking in terms of positional value, right? When we're talking in terms of what a left tackle brings to your offense, that's your blind side, right? Your quarterback, in terms of a right tackle, should be able to see more of what's going on in the right side of that line via pressure, via coverage. And I do think that a right tackle, if you can just get a good one, a solid one that can hold his own, he doesn't have to be elite. He just has to be around average, above average. And that's where I do think Abraham Lucas exists right now as a rookie. He could immediately, or he should certainly be able to improve on that as years go on. But I think I would feel very good about Abraham Lucas starting in 2022 as a right tackle. You can keep Matt Filer at left guard like we've been hoping could happen, and you could slot in Zion Johnson at right guard, and all of a sudden that offensive line is looking mean. And when I say mean, I mean mean. All of a sudden, dudes, that offense should keep pace with that defense. I think vice versa, it's going to look like a very, very nice, solid, and complete offense if you can fix this offensive line in your first 2 picks. He does need refining, does have great upside, but I love this pick in round number 3. In our second third-round pick, via the trade with the Pittsburgh Steelers at pick number 84, the Los Angeles Chargers are going to select Phidarian Mathis, interior defensive lineman out of Alabama. Oh my goodness. Now this guy, dude, he hasn't really been on our radar very much on this channel because I felt like he was maybe out of reach for the Chargers. Maybe we had bigger needs in round 3 if we decide to go wide receiver, another position outside of offensive line in the first round. All of a sudden, with 2 third-round picks, I'm feeling pretty good about taking a defensive tackle here in round 3. And dude, Phidarian Mathis, dude, this guy could be absolutely insane with what the Chargers have already built in Los Angeles. The Chargers, again, bring in Sebastian Joseph Day. They bring in Austin Johnson. This effort to rebuild this defensive line from the ground up to help versus the run looks very impressive already. But like I said at the top of the episode, I want to go from worst to first, man. I want to get another guy in there that does have pretty good upside and is already proven to be good versus the run. Phidarian Mathis out of Alabama certainly fits that role for me in round number 3. And honestly, I think this would be a screaming value at pick number 84. I almost went Mathis with our first third-round pick, but with Abraham Lucas still there, I just had to take the other offensive lineman. So the Chargers, first 3 picks, heavily invested in the trenches. I think this is something that would make Chargers fans very happy. Mathis himself as a player, another beast run defender, 6'4", 310 pounds. That's exactly the kind of guy I want to see in Brandon Staley's 3-4 scheme. He can play anywhere on the interior defensive line as well, man. You can light him up at defensive end. You can put him over the tackle. You can do pretty much whatever you want with this guy. He's got the size. He's got maybe not the athleticism, but at the same time, he's got the experience to really play wherever you want to put him. And for a guy like Brandon Staley, I know that would be very much so appreciated in the way he moves things around. His big size and strength offers a lot to this defensive line. He is a space eater. We've talked about a lot of other defensive linemen, Ridgeway, of course, Jordan Davis and other, early round prospects. But Mathis, man, I think he could be one of those gems in the third round. And if the Chargers can find a way to get him and add him to this line, I would be ecstatic. He also offers really nice pass rush upside, 7 sacks in 2021. This is what I'm kind of envisioning for Mathis, in my opinion, man. He could eventually take over Jerry Tillery's role. And in my opinion, with what I see in this player, he might be able to take over the spot by week 4. You got yourself another lineman in there that offers pass rush ability, that offers elite, play versus the run. this could kind of be in terms of what I was hoping to get out of Akeem Hicks. And if you can get that in the 3rd round of the NFL draft, dude, slam dunk, run the card up to the podium. Director's feeling really, really good about it. So 2 third-round picks, I think we put them to good use. And now it's time to get into the middle rounds as well here, man. At round 5, again, remember, in round 4, we traded that pick away to the Pittsburgh Steelers in order to get an extra 3rd. So we're going to jump here to the 5th round in round number 5. At pick number 160, this one might shock some of you guys, okay? It shocked me. I think it's a great pick, and it's one that in round 5, the day of the draft, I'm going to be pounding the table for this guy. In round 5, pick 160, the Los Angeles Chargers select Tyquan Thornton out of Baylor, wide receiver. I don't think anybody really knew who this guy was before the NFL Combine, right? The fastest wide receiver in the 2022 class who ran a 4.28. I guess you could say that the fastest receiver at the Combine. I do think Jameson Williams would give him a run for his money, but a 4.28, a player that has a 4.28 added to this Chargers offense that features Justin Herbert, the upside is insane. And again, if you go trenches early, right? You go offensive lineman twice, you go defensive line. If you're going to commit to fixing those trenches early, grab Tyquan Thornton in the 5th round, please. And there's a lot of mocks saying that he's going to go 6th or 7th. Reach for him, man. I don't care. That speed on this roster is exactly what we're looking for, because we're talking about a reality where we passed on Chris Olave. I hope we didn't pass on Jameson Williams. We passed on other really nice receivers in the 3rd round, 2nd round, Calvin Austin. We need to get some speed on this roster, and if you're going to sacrifice the quality of players that you're going to be passing on in the early rounds, go after the fastest guy in the draft who you can find in the 5th or 6th round. I'm taking him here in the 5th. I do think when it comes to speedy wide receivers, there can be some reaches, so to be safe, we're going to take him here with pick number 160. This man, dude, I know he's a 5th round pick. I know it's really hard to hit on mid to late round picks, but what we're asking of our new wide receiver, I think, is very accomplishable by Thornton in the 5th round. He could provide immediate value. I'm not just talking, he's a developmental guy. We may see him in 2023, 2024 when he's ready. No, I'm ready to roll out with this guy in 2022 and see what he's got in beating coverage and getting over the top and really making defenses respect Justin Herbert's arm, because that's where I do think he brings his best value. He's also 6'2", maybe a little bit of a thinner frame, but what I'm hoping to do is to grab that speed and start to unearth what makes Justin Herbert so special. He really does have one of the best deep balls in the NFL. He's got one of the greatest arms. I think we need to get a guy in there to complement with Guyton to really unlock that. And I think there's very few guys I trust in the draft more than Thornton here in the 5th round. Sure, there's other guys. I was thinking about Bo Melton, who does have maybe a bigger upside as like a gadget player a little bit, I guess. But at the same time, what we need on this offense is speed. We got to get over the top. And even though a guy like Thornton doesn't have the best route running, he's not the most refined wide receiver, he does need work in several areas. Maybe he is a little bit undersized. What I'm seeing that he brings to the table in 2022 is something that could be very, very exciting. Kind of think about it like I hate using this example, but the Raiders, when they brought in Deshaun Jackson, I should say the Rams. I hate both of those. The Rams, that when they brought in Deshaun Jackson, right? His role wasn't to be an every down wide receiver. He wasn't going to go out there and move the chains and beat those top caliber cornerbacks in the NFL. What his job was to provide a deep target to Matthew Stafford. And I do think they accomplished that very, very well. And that's kind of what I see in Tyquan Thornton here with the Chargers in 2022. I've spent way too much time talking about Thornton, dude, but I really, really like this pick here in the 5th round. Tyquan Thornton out of Baylor, wide receiver with pick number 160. I love it, man. Again, he really wasn't on my radar. I look for wide receivers that bring more than just speed. I could say that Thornton does, but at the same time, it's the best speed in the draft. I'm willing to bet on that. Moving on, guys, the Chargers here in round 6. I do think they have 2 6th-round picks and 4 7th-round picks, so hold on to your hats. In round number 6, the Los Angeles Chargers with pick number 195 are going to select Tyler Allgeier, running back out of BYU. Don't know how many people are shocked by this. If you guys saw some of my favorite mid to late round gems, I was pretty high on Tyler Allgeier, dude. The Chargers, of course, after how many years, still on the hunt for their running back 2. And there are some guys that maybe I like a little bit better, Brian Robinson, but those guys you have to invest for a little bit early. And in terms of priority, I think running back 2, I feel pretty safe with taking a guy here in the 6th round. And what you're getting in a player like Allgeier is exactly, again, what the Chargers need to bring to this roster. Like I mentioned here on the notes, as a late round running back, or this is a late round running back that I trust to compete for some snaps this season in the Chargers offense. He's a power back that perfectly complements Austin Ekeler. Some would say maybe he's a tad bit undersized. I think he's somewhere around 5'11". Maybe he can put on a little bit more weight, but I think he's a great power back for this team, man. And I do think his upside gives him a lot of opportunity, or should give him a lot of opportunity to make an impact on this team immediately. He's got excellent vision, always hitting them perfect gaps, finding ways to gain yardage between the tackles. This is honestly what we need, man. Outstanding pass blocker as well. When it comes to depth at running back, you really have to see how this guy serves as a pass pro, dude. And I do think that Allgeier is one of the better guys you're going to find in the later rounds in order to protect your quarterback when called upon to tote the rock and get in the form. I don't know, man. I feel like his upside is great. He's not the fastest guy in the world. He doesn't have the biggest burst. He's not maybe the greatest when he's out in space. But when you ask him to run between the tackles, when you ask him to protect your quarterback and pass protection, I like this, man. I like this pick quite a bit. And I do think in terms of competing with the depth guys in our roster right now, I think he's better than Larry Roundtree. Roundtree could be a great running back 3 eventually, but I definitely think he's a much better version of Josh Kelly. I actually think he's sort of the version that we hoped we would get in Josh Kelly. And Josh Kelly is a good fit for this team. He just hasn't lived up to his own potential. So give me Allgeier in the 6th round, and I'll be smiling ear to ear. Next up in round number 6 still, right? We'd have 2 6-rounders. Yes, in round 6 at pick number 214, the Los Angeles Chargers are going to select Damarion Williams, cornerback out of Houston. Now, this is a guy that I haven't really, read up a ton on. I'll be honest, during my mock draft, I looked him up and I saw some things that I did like. Versatile nickel defender who can also play safety. And if you guys remember my last mock draft, I talked a lot about how this Chargers defensive scheme is going to change a little bit because of what Brandon Staley wants to do and the pieces that he's added even before the draft. He wants to introduce more heavy or DB heavy looks. He wants to get more defensive backs on the field. And yes, we've got some quality starters out there, but what I'm looking for in round 6 and beyond is definitely some depth, and especially if you can find a guy that's versatile, I think that's even more added value. The Chargers, again, what does Brandon Staley call it? Your star position, your nickel defender. We're going to need some depth at that position too. And of course, J.C. Jackson could play that. A lot of other guys could play that. But if you want a guy that's in there to really back up that position, Damarion Williams is definitely not a bad look here in the 6th round. His ball skills have great upside as far as tracking and getting those interceptions. Solid tackling despite his size. To me, I see a guy who can contribute immediately in special teams, who does offer depth and maybe some upside in generating turnovers. I like him. The biggest reason I think a lot of people are passing on Williams is definitely his size. I think he's somewhere about 5'10", and we know the NFL is evolving. We want to get bigger defensive backs out there that can kind of play, up against those big physical receivers, maybe a little bit more work closer to the line of scrimmage. But to me, Williams does have those traits that he's versatile. He does have the potential for interceptions, and I do think despite his size, he does play pretty big. So I do see this as a solid depth signing here in round 6. In round 7, as we get ready to trot out our 4 7th-round picks, the Chargers at pick number 236 are going to select, once again, man, it's Smoke Monday. He's been there every time I've drafted. I don't know if he'll be there in real-life NFL draft, but this is such a great value in the 7th round. We talked about him last time. I won't spend too much time on him, but again, aggressive tackler, really good versus the run, solid athleticism, size, and versatility. I think he was somewhere around 6'2", 6'3". He can be used, again, like we said before, similarly to Derwin James, and don't get carried away with that sentiment. I do think he's like 1/5 player that Derwin James is, but you can kind of use him in the same way, and this allows you a little bit of flexibility in how to roll these players out. I could honestly see a 7th-round pick, Smoke Monday, playing, in the box sometimes for the Chargers, and I would be interested to see how he does there. A great pickup in lieu of a linebacker. Like I said, the Chargers want to run more DB heavy looks, and I do think that we could grab a linebacker here in round 7, but if you're going to have your linebackers out there for less time, if you're going to go out there and sign a Troy Reeder, you have okay depth right now. Load up on safety depth, load up on corner depth, load up on these DBs that might actually be out there on the field. Give them some good depth there, right? He does need work in coverage and ball skills, but I do see this guy as big upside. I forgot to delete the comp here, but his comp was Javen Curse, which again, we were hoping to get last season, or this last off season in the free agency period. All right, guys, let's move to another fresh pick here in pick number 254. Is that correct? Yes, 254. In round 7, the Los Angeles Chargers are going to select Jeremiah Moon, edge out of Florida. I like this guy, man. Again, I was getting into the 7th round. I was seeing some guys that I haven't really noticed before. I was looking for positions of need. I was looking for value. Looked up a little bit here on Jeremiah Moon. I like this guy, man. He's a hybrid linebacker slash edge, but he has great size. This dude is huge, man. It says 6'5". He looked a little bit bigger than that to me. And he, to me, man, he's one of those guys that you want to roll out in blitz packages, right? You want to roll out. He's going to be depth, him and Chris Rumpf, but at the same time, his physicality, his size, he maybe lacks a little bit of speed. I do like a lot of things that I'm seeing from Jeremiah Moon here. We're in round 7. The Chargers, as of today, their edge depth still doesn't look great. I like the upside of Moon. He could be a special team standout with that size. I like him, man. Again, he's also versatile. I think he played a lot of linebacker and a lot of edge. I like what I see there. It offers a little bit of flexibility there. So now you're looking at, okay, maybe we can use Jeremiah Moon as linebacker depth if we have to. We can use him as depth at edge. You know, I like him as a better fit as a backup edge for like Khalil Mack or Joey Bosa. I think in the 7th round, this is a solid pick that does offer depth, you know, at a position that could use it. And I do think it's a good value. I like the upside of Jeremiah Moon. All right, guys, we're getting close to the finish line here. Our third 7th round pick at this point, right? In the 7th round with pick number 255, back-to-back picks in the 7th round, the Los Angeles Chargers are going to select Nick Ford, interior offensive lineman out of Utah. Now, very similarly to my last mock draft, I want more depth on this offensive line. We picked up 2 really good players in Abraham Lucas and Zion Johnson. The Chargers still need to address that center depth position, right? We need a backup center. Scott Quessenberry's gone. We were lucky to have him for so long. He was a great backup. It's time to go out there and find a guy to take his spot. And I think Nick Ford, to me, is one of these guys in the 7th round where I'm like, let's take a shot on this dude, man. He's got a lot of experience all over this line. It really did maybe hinder him a little bit because he wasn't really able to perfect his craft, you know, at guard or at center. I do think he played tackle as well. Yes, it says here, played literally every position. But at the same time, he's got experience, he's got upside, and he's very versatile. Again, when it comes to depth, if you can get a guy that's played multiple positions, he's pretty much like a contingency plan for multiple spots on that O-line, and that to me is very nice. He is projected as center, though. He did play center, I think, most recently for Utah, and I do think that, again, we need, you know, depth on that offensive line. Nick Ford could be a little bit of a project, but at the same time, I like his upside. Excellent size, 6'5", 317 pounds. He might be a little bit better of a run blocker than a pass protector, but at the same time, I like the upside of this player, especially if you start honing in on what you want him to play. If the Chargers want him to be a backup center, then they can start really fine-tuning his skill set to play that position. And again, like I said at the top of the segment here, added depth in the offensive line is a must in my opinion. And lastly, the last pick in this 2022 NFL mock draft for the Chargers that includes trades. No more trades, spoiler alert. The last pick here in round number 7 at pick number 260, the Los Angeles Chargers are going to select Ali Green, the 4th out of Missouri, cornerback. Again, this is another guy that maybe I hadn't read up much about before this draft, but as I was doing it, we were looking at corner and we're like, do we double dip here again? Would that be okay? Of course, you know, we went with the corner out of Houston. Let's grab another one here with the last pick in this draft for the Chargers because we weren't able to find a guy in the 3rd or the 4th round that we felt really good about in terms of, you know, cornerback 4 or 3. So let's make sure that depth looks really good and give Mike Davis, you know, a full season of handling those top 3 cornerback position duties. And I do think double dipping at cornerback might be okay here, very similarly to how the Chargers double dipped at wide receiver a couple years back with Joe Reed and KJ Hill. Of course, that didn't work out, but at the same time, I do think this offers some solid depth for the Chargers, who once again are rolling out in a DB heavy system. Physically intimidating here at 6'3". Green, man, again, it kind of adds, I like the upside a little bit better of our corner from Houston, but I like the physicality and what you could develop Green into more because of his physical attributes here at 260. He's favorable in press man, which again, I'm suspecting that the Chargers are going to introduce a little bit more man, and I think a guy like Green, who's so physically intimidating, he's very good, up close and press, and I do think that he bullies those receivers a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage. I like those traits a lot, and that's something that the coaches can work with while also adding depth to this roster. Good upside with physical attributes. He's a great step in another great step in overhauling this DB depth. I would feel pretty good about that, and just adding another big corner out there. I think the biggest one we have right now is Michael Davis. Let's get another one in there just in case and see what we can do with him here in the 7th round. Well, guys, that's going to do it for this mock draft 2.0 for the Chargers in the 2022 NFL Draft. Let me know if there's some guys in here that you like a lot, some of your favorite picks from this mock draft, and maybe some more diamonds in the rough. I've been really enjoying reading my own comments the past couple of days and looking up some of the guys that you're high on here in the mid to late rounds. Of course, you can include guys in rounds 1 through 3 if you're really passionate about it. Make some good arguments for whether the Chargers should pursue him. But at the same time, man, this has been a very, very fun experience, and I'm broadening what we're looking for here in the draft coming up in 10 days. So guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you did enjoy this content, hit us up with a like and sub on your way out. This has been The Director. We'll see you next time, and as always, bolt up and stay frosty. Man, dude, rebuilding the trenches, I'm all about that.